on the brink of death. All right, and the so-called Native American Indians took care of them. Okay, and it says Columbus was so impressed with the hard work of these General Islanders that he immediately seized their land for Spain and enslaved them to work in his brutal gold mines. Within only 2 years, 125,000, which is half of the population of the original natives on the island, were dead. And see, this is the thanks that Esau gives to Jake, man. You so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. It's not only the so-called Native American Indians, but it's also the so-called Negroes as well, and also the so-called Latinos. All right, you give Esau an inch, and he'll take 1,000 miles. All right. So he forced them to work in gold mines. All right. And Brina says, if I were a Native American, it was just a guy talking about putting in his own spin on this article. But as far as what happened on his arrival to the Americas, that's spot on. Okay. The logs and the diaries back that up. It says, shockingly, Columbus supervised the selling of native girls into sexual slavery. Young girls of the ages 9 to 10 were the most desired by his men. Yeah, man, because Esau is a damn pedophile, man. All right, because he likes to rape little boys and little girls, man. That's an actual fact. Even the higher ups of Esau, the so-called banking families, are into that, man. All right, there's the so-called shadow government. That what goes on during their gatherings. All right, I can note one, the Bohemian Grove. All right, where all kinds of wickedness goes on during that those meetings at the Bohemian Grove. All right. So Esau is the biggest pedophile on the planet Earth, man. All right, and this is an example showing you that. All right, and there's more accounts of that. Even in this modern time we're living in now, 2017, you can find actual accounts of Esau being committing pedophilic acts. All right, these so-called Catholic priests. All right, even the Catholic churches, they do the same thing, man. All right. Now it says, in 1500, Columbus casually, wrote about it in his log. He said 100 Castellanoas, should I say, are as easily obtained for a woman as for a farm, and it is very general, and there are plenty of dealers who go about looking for girls. Those from 9 to 10 are now in demand. See, there it is, where he wrote in his log. All right, he forced these peaceable natives work in his gold mines until they died of exhaustion. If an Indian worker, and by the way, the Indian was the name, the term Indian was given unto him by Christopher Columbus, or the Spanish, and that word means savage, in which, in actuality, Esau, these Edomites are the real savages. All right, you came out of the caves of the rock, out of the Caucasus Mountains, so you're the real savage. All right, and it says, if an Indian worker did not deliver his full quota of gold dust by Columbus' deadline, soldiers would cut off the man's hands and tie them around his neck to send a message. Man, you see how vile Esau is, man? Cut off a man's hands and then he ties them around the neck. Oh, what the hell? What just happened? Yeah, man, that's Satan messing around, man. Satan doesn't want this information to come out on you devils, man. All right. Let's see if I can go back to where I was, before Satan messed up my phone. Yeah, here it is. He said he cut off a man's hands and tied them around his neck to send a message. Slavery was so intolerable for these sweet, gentle island people that at one point 100 of them committed mass suicide. All right. Catholic law forbade the enslavement of Christians, but Columbus solved this problem. He simply refused to baptize the native people of Hispaniola. All right. On his second trip to the New World, or the so-called New World, I should have put that in quotation, it said Columbus brought cannons and attack dogs. If a native resisted slavery, he would cut off a nose or an ear if slaves tried to escape. Columbus had them burned alive. All right. Wow. It says other times he sent attack dogs to hunt them down, and the dogs would tear off the arms and legs of the screaming natives while they were still alive. If the Spaniards ran short of meat to feed the dogs, Arawak babies were killed for dog food. And Esau got a full list to pay for, man. This is one of them. It's one out of many that he's got to pay for. All right. It says Columbus' acts of cruelty were so unspeakable and so legendary, even in his own day, that Governor Francisco de Bobadilla arrested Columbus and his two brothers, slapped them into chains, and shipped them off to Spain to answer for their crimes against the Arawaks. But the king and queen of Spain, which is King Ferdinand at that time, I believe it was still King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella at that time, if I'm not mistaken, their treasury, filling with gold, pardoned Columbus and let him go free. So they pretty much gave him a slap on the wrist, and that's that. Which basically sounds like it's just like the day, man. Esau kills a Jake in cold blood. You know, Jake probably, Jake more than likely didn't do anything, but probably move, twitch your arm and they get shot, and these Edomites get a slap on the wrist, and that's that. That's the end of the story. Versus a Jake doing something like that, they get thrown in jail for life, or probably face a death penalty for that. All right. Now it says one of Columbus's men, Bartholomew de las Casas, was so mortified by Columbus' brutal atrocities against the native peoples that he quit working for Columbus and became a Catholic priest. He described how the Spaniards under Columbus' command cut off the legs of children who ran from them to test the sharpness of their blades. According to De las Casas, the men made bets as to who, with one sweep of his sword, could cut a person in half. He says that Columbus's men poured people full of boiling soup. In a single day, De las Casas was an eyewitness as the Spanish soldiers dismembered, beheaded, or raped 3,000 native people. Such inhumanities and barbarism were committed in my sight as no age can parallel. De las Casas wrote, "My eyes have seen these acts so foreign to human nature that now I tremble as I write." All right. And it just completely goes on, man. But that pretty much is the point, man. I just want to bring out this info on Cristobal Colon, which people call it Christopher Columbus. And in which, like I said before, man, Esau has a huge tab to pay. All right. Now, I want to get the book of let's see. Yep. They go to the book of 2 Thessalonians chapter 1 and verse 6. It says, "Seeing it is a righteous thing with the Most High to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. And to you who are troubled, rest with us when the Lord Yahushua shall be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels. And flaming fire taking vengeance on them that know not the Most High." And this is going to the ones that either reject Yahweh Shem Yahushai or are not, with his rule, man. All right, for lack of a better way to put it. But like it says right here in verse 6, it is a righteous thing with the Most High to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. So it's going to be a righteous thing when Yahushua returns and to deal that judgment against these Edomites. All right, and that just sheds more light on this Christopher Columbus guy, and also Christopher Columbus Day, which even these so-called Native American Indians and so-called Latinos even celebrated to this day, man. And it really boggles the mind that they celebrate that day, man. And it's crazy, man. All right. But with that pretty much wraps up the video. I want to bring out the info and then a few scriptures concerning this topic. Like I said before, man, Esau got a huge tab to pay. This is one out of many, and he's got to pay for it, man. Especially against our people, so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, because it wasn't just the so-called Negroes that went into slavery. It was also so-called Native American Indians and the so-called Latinos. See, we went into slavery as a nation. All right, that curse in Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 6 to 8 pertains unto all the tribes of Israel. All right, so all of us had to face that slavery. All right, and that tribulation that Esau did to us. All right, so with that, once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shem Shai. Lord willing, Yah can edify with this video. And also double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that continue to rule very well. And peace and safety to the hopeful elect that is continually pushing out this word and bringing out more of Esau's crimes and his dirt, revealing them, putting out in the forefront, and continually pushing his word and giving our diligence. And with that, we're going to say shalom.